All right, guys, welcome back. If you're a subscriber, if not, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I am starting this year's Savage Declutter. There will be a few more videos after this. I'm going to be doing probably 2 parts for face, maybe 1 part. I'll be doing lips, and then I will also be doing just an overall Tids and Bits, which is all of the mascaras, eyeliners, all that crap. So let's go ahead and get started with the eyeshadows. Last year I did do palettes and singles separately, but I have significantly less this year, so I'm just going to combine them all. I will link that video down below and also at the end of this video, so go ahead and check out that video. If you see that one, you'll probably notice that a lot of the ones that I kept from that declutter are going in this declutter. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm really excited to dive into this. So pretty much my entire philosophy on this declutter is that whenever I did last year's, it was earlier this year actually, but whenever I did my last one, I really felt like my makeup taste changed a lot, and that's why I wanted to get rid of so many things. And I feel the same way this year. I feel like, you know, some things that I tolerated, I just don't want to tolerate anymore. Some things that I have to work too hard with, or they don't bring me joy whenever I use them, I just want to get rid of them. So not all of these products are terrible, but they're not good for me. So right off the bat, let's just go ahead and take care of all of these single shadows so that I can get those out of the way. Straight up, most of these are going. I just don't find myself reaching for single shadows that often. I don't like how it's not very easy to just like open up a whole thing and have multiple shadows. So let's do these ColourPop ones. I've had these for a while. Let me get my little thing here. This one is the Super Shock in Coconut. I thought I was going to absolutely love using this, but it just, I don't know. I'm just not a blue eyeshadow person, apparently. It does feel really nice, but for me, I feel like the ColourPop shadows are just a little bit kind of fussy to use. So I really don't want to bother with that anymore. So it's pretty, but it's going. I'm going to stick that one over here. Next up is Prickly Pear. I absolutely love, if I can get it open, I love this color, but it's just the ColourPop shadows. It's too annoying for me to use, but God, that is gorgeous though. I can't. I really want to though. It's so pretty. Oh, see, now I'm waffling. I hate it whenever I waffle, but this, do you see that? It's really, really pretty. But you know what? I have not used this in like a year and a half. It's got to go. I just got to be honest with myself about this. Next up, I have Mirage, which is this kind of like weird, Lydia, this weird greeny color. I just don't like it. It's really not me. It's not a me color. It's not anything that I would really use, so that's going as well. And then I have this one, which is Hope. This was from the Coffee Break with Danny quad. In the last declutter, I got rid of all of the other shadows from that. They were just kind of plain. This was the kind of Transformer shade though, but I just never use it. No. It's got to go. I just don't use it enough. Next up, I have this Revlon Colorstay Cream Eyeshadow. It's in the shade 740, which I believe was called like Amethyst something. With these, they don't swatch great, like, you know, with your finger. But if you swatch it with the brush, it's like significantly more intense. Do you see the difference between that? And it's the same thing on your eyes. Like, you really have to use this specific brush to have it look good on your eyes, which I don't mind. But again, it's the whole cream eyeshadow thing. I just don't ever find myself reaching for it. And for that reason, it's gonna have to go. But it is really pretty. And if you don't mind cream shadows, I would recommend it because that is gorgeous. Okay, I scooted the camera down a little bit closer, so that hopefully that helps you to be able to see everything a little bit better. But, okay, we got a couple more single shadows over here. These are 2 ColourPop ones. I bought these along with a bunch of other ColourPop stuff earlier this year because I was going to do a But Is It Good? And to be perfectly honest, a lot of the stuff I ended up not liking, and then the time just got away from me and I never filmed the video. But now in this declutter, you'll see my reviews of it. So this one is in Silver Lining, and I just really hated how it performed on my eye. It goes on kind of patchy and streaky, and it feels very muted compared to the color that you get in the pan. I just feel like it was kind of like, meh. I didn't like it. Sorry, not sorry, I just didn't like it. I would probably never again buy, I got stuff under my nails. I would probably never again buy a ColourPop eyeshadow, probably not even the palettes. I just, you know, they've burned me like 3 times, and I'm done with them. Their lip products, some of them are good though, but we'll talk about that later. This one is High-Strung. This is not what I thought the color was whenever I ordered it. It's pretty, it's got good pigment. I mean, it's very highly metallic, but I thought that I was getting more of a rose gold, and this is kind of more of like a coppery pink instead of a rose gold. So I just don't see myself really using this ever. And ever since I bought it, I used it like 3 times to try it out to review, and have not used it since, so that's going as well. All right, let me talk about these. So these you'll see in my face declutter because this is a blush and a highlight, but these I have are 2 eyeshadows. This one is Makeup Forever I-544. I kept this from last time because I liked it, but now seeing it again, and honestly I have not used it, I think 1 time since my last declutter, and it's just kind of muted. I liked it before. I just don't anymore. This is gonna have to go. It's just taking up space. And then this one is Mana Kadar Fantasy. First off, this pan is absolutely ginormous, but this one is a beautiful color. I love that this is kind of more like rose gold that I thought that this one was going to be. But, I mean, it's beautiful. But whenever I compare it to the pigmentation on this ColourPop one, this one isn't really there. It's definitely more of a muted shade. And, I don't know, like, looking at it, I love it. I love the color of it. But I just feel like I'm not using it enough. You know, I've worn it maybe a handful of times, and it just needs to be passed on. It's not getting enough love in my collection, but it's definitely a beautiful color. And someone else will love it. Then I have this Buxom shadow. This was a free gift with purchase. This is called La La Lavish. And I think I will actually depot this so that it's more accessible to me. I just don't like these, like, everything is individual, you know? But this is a beautiful color. It's kind of, what would you call it? Like, duochrome. So it's kind of like this kind of bluish, silvery lavender shade. I do like it. I have not used it enough since I received it because I haven't had it that long. So I do want to keep it and see if I can find a way to use it more because I do love purples since my eyes are green. I feel like they complement my eyes a lot. So I'm going to keep this one. That's the first thing we're keeping out of all these so far. Yay! And let's see here. This one I haven't even opened. I think I will pass this on to my mom since I haven't opened it or anything, but this is the 5-in-1 BB Advanced Performance Cream Eyeshadow, and I don't know, I think the color on this one might have been linen or something. I had another one of these that I really liked, but again, the cream eyeshadows, my tastes have just changed. I'm just not in the mood anymore to bother with a cream eyeshadow, so this one is gonna go. But if you don't mind cream eyeshadows, these are really, really pretty and they blend really, really well. And here are these 2 stick eyeshadows that I kept from last time. This one is the Laura Mercier Caviar Stick Eye Color in Rose Gold. Guys, you can tell I barely even used this since last time. So it's going to go, I forgot I need to put these in frame. It's pretty, but it's nothing special, and I don't feel like, honestly, that it looks super rose gold to me. It seems more coppery. And then this one is Golden Pink, the Bobbi Brown Longwear Cream Shadow Stick. I used this one a little bit more than the other one, but I mean, they're pretty similar. This one I feel like is definitely more rose gold. It's more of a pink tone, and it's definitely prettier. And if I wanted cream eyeshadows, I would keep this one, but I'm not going to keep it because I just don't want to bother with them. But if you are on the fence between Laura Mercier or Bobbi Brown, I would go with the Bobbi Brown. I feel like this one is a lot more blendable. It has a lot more color payoff, and the color is prettier. But both of these are going. All right, guys, let's do some quads next, because I have a few of them right here. I think that's it. I think I have 4 quads. So first up is this Flower Beauty quad. This is in Foxy Browns. And first off, I love this quad. I have used it. I've taken it in the truck with me multiple times. But I just find that the colors are pretty muted. And now that in the past year or so, where I've found a lot of small palettes that I'm really loving, this has taken a back burner and I just have not used it as much because of the other small palettes that I'm really, really enjoying. So for me, this one's gonna go, but if you are in the market for a drugstore quad, I think these are gorgeous and beautiful, and I would recommend them. Here is the pink color, and then let's do this kind of bronzy shade, and then we'll do this one. This one's really pretty. So there are the 3 shades of that, and then the one I didn't swatch is that one. But at most, I'm just going to do 3 shades out of each of these just to keep it short and simple. It's pretty, but I'm just not using it enough now that I've found other small palettes. So this one is going to go. It's going to be passed along, but I do recommend these flower products if you have access to them at like a Walmart or something. Next up, I have this Dose of Colors Desi X Katie the Girls quad. This is stunning, number one. I don't think that you can still buy this. I know they did have it up on the website still a couple weeks ago whenever I filmed a video with it, but it might be sold out now. But if you can get your hands on it, I would suggest getting this. I do have a couple use it or lose it videos on my channel. There's a whole playlist of those, so you can just go to that playlist if you want to see looks that I did with these. I did a look with Turboson, and I did a look with, what is this one? Suze or Noli. I think this is Noli. First off, these will not swatch good on your hand with your finger. So whatever you see here isn't really representative of how they look on your eyes. But these are gorgeous, and I love how versatile it is because I can pull out any other palette that I'm loving and using and then just use one of these as an overall lid color, and it just elevates the look so well. I love this. I will probably never get rid of this until I use it all up. So this one is staying, the first palette that is staying. Next up, I have these 2 Anastasia quads. These are single shadows, but I use them as quads, so that's how I'm going to count them here. I kept both of these from the last time around. This first one is a more neutral quad. It has Legend, Warm Taupe, I think this is Stone, nope, Ash Brown, and then this one is in Urban Decay Scratch. I did end up replacing the Anastasia shade that I had in here because it was just kind of crappy. There was no pigmentation in it, with this Urban Decay one that was similar but better pigmentation. And I've used this, it's okay, but now that I have other palettes that I like, it's just not doing anything for me, so I'm gonna let this one go. The mattes are great, but you know, there's just nothing special about it, so this one's gonna go. And then the second one is this more kind of purpley one. And of course, these are my tones. If you're a subscriber, you already know that. This one is Stone. Then I think this one is Day Rate. Dusty Rose. I wanted Day Rate and I haven't gotten it yet. And then this one is Not Today. And this one is Macaroon. Yes. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous one. One of my favorite eye looks that I've ever created was done with this one. And I pretty much do that exact look every time I use this. So this is staying. I absolutely love it. If you are looking to, you know, make like a quad with ABH shadows and you have green eyes, woo, do this quad. This is absolutely gorgeous. You know what I just realized? I didn't even swatch these for you. Oops. So there is, I forget what this one was. That one's Dusty Rose, Not Today, and then Macaroon. Did I even swatch the others? Oh my gosh, guys, I'm not on my game today. So there's the swatches for the one that I'm keeping. And I don't think I went ahead and swatched this. So I will go ahead and swatch this so that you can see it. And then this is the one that I'm getting rid of. This is the Urban Decay shadow, not the ABH shadow. And we'll do this one. So you can see the mattes on there are really, really nice. That Urban Decay one had a lot of stuff on it, but beautiful shades, all of them, but I'm going to keep this one over this one. Okay, now let's get into, I have a ton of tiny palettes, and then I have a few of the bigger palettes. Let me rearrange everything here just right quick. All right, there we go. So what do I want to do next? Let me do this one because I know for sure, actually these are kind of similar. They're kind of all jewel tones. This one I was so excited to get, and let me just show you. First off, these are so like creamy and pigmented that they're like, you know, they've got, I don't know how to call it, little crumblies because there's so much pigment in them. Gorgeous colors. Let me do this one, and we'll do this green one. But if you can see on there, look at how much like fallout there's going to be whenever you actually put those on your eye. These are gorgeous though. If you apply them with your finger, they're beautiful. This is the Ulta Metallic palette, by the way. But here's my problem with it. Even whenever I use an eyeshadow primer, these creased like nobody's business on me. Terrible, terrible creasing. So, but I have oily lids. Normally, if I use my eye primer, I don't have any problem with that. If you have dry eyelids or you don't have a problem with oiliness, maybe if you used a primer, these would work. But for me, it just did not work. Beautiful colors though, absolutely beautiful, but it's got to go because it just did me dirty real bad. Let me get rid of these. There's just so much crumblies on there. Zoinks. Okay, now look at all of that. It's still on there. Holy crap. So this is the CoverGirl True Naked Jules palette. I got this and I actually talked about it saying how I was going to film a video. I tried to do a video where I was wearing this one, and this had so much glittery gold fallout all over my entire face that it ruined the entire look, and I just cannot abide by that. This is the one matte that you get in the palette. It's kind of like this dusty pink. This is the green shade that did me so dirty. So much fallout with that. And then let me do this blue shade right here. It's pretty, but it's nothing spectacular. And for all of the fallout that I got with that one shade, I just cannot keep it. It's just not happening. So this one is going. It's just no good. Next, let's talk about the Too Faced Chocolate Chip Palette. I did keep this the last time around. I had this in the truck with me for a while, using it as kind of like my daily one. I used this shade a lot, and this shade, and then this pink shade. I used this one a little bit. The others, I didn't really use a whole lot. And I'm going to get rid of it this time just because I have so many other of these small palettes that I really love. And this one is, you know, a little bit hit or miss. It's good in some shades, but other shades just not that great. So let me just do, let's do this purple one. We'll do the pink that I liked. And then let me do this matte right here. So there's those right there. I mean, those three shades are okay. The rest, you know, a little bit hit or miss. So this one's just gonna go. So I moved some things around here. We're going to do all of the big palettes now and then move on to the smaller ones. So just to recap, so far we're getting rid of 17 and I have kept 3. So we're doing pretty good. I think a lot of the stuff coming up though I'll be keeping. So let's get into some more that I'm going to get rid of. First up is this Ulta palette. This was like a, I think, spring free gift of purchase at Ulta. You will be seeing this again for the, you know, lips and the face part of it. But for right now, let's talk about the eyeshadows. Overall, this is an okay palette. There's a pretty good selection of stuff in here, but I feel like a lot of it was hit or miss. Like this one was pretty good. Looks pretty nice. This one I think was a little bit patchy. Yeah, it's not that great. Let's do this one. Pretty patchy with that. I mean, it's not excellent. And number one issue for me with it is that it's a big palette and I just don't find myself gravitating toward big palettes anymore. Even something like a naked palette seems to me like a big palette now because there's so many shades that I will probably never use in a palette this large. So for me and my makeup taste, I don't like big palettes. I know a lot of people that love them and that's fine, but for me, it's not a good fit anymore. So this one is gonna go. Let's do this Lorac Pro 2 palette. This one is one that I kept from last time. I absolutely love the colors in it. This is right up my alley. I love cool toned shades. It just works better on my skin, I feel like. With my coloring and stuff, it just looks great. However, while I love the colors in here and while I did keep it, every single time that I tried to use it this year, I just found myself not loving the look that I came out with. And I don't know why. Like, oh, that's very like pigmented. But see, it has like that extra like fallout issue with it. You get one of these. You know, that color, it's kind of blah. Let's do this purple one because I love purples. The purple in here is really, really good, which is hard to do, but you know, it's gonna go because I have not liked any of the looks that I came out with it for this year. I'm just never happy with the look that I get with it now, and I just feel like it's time to let it go. It's just time for someone else to love it because if I'm not using it, if I'm not getting enjoyment out of using it, or I'm not thinking about like, oh, I really want to use that palette, I'm not going to keep it. It's just, it doesn't make any sense to me to keep something that I have to force myself to use. I tried to start doing like a Project Pan type of thing. And before I even did like my first video on it, I was so annoyed with having to force myself to use things that I don't necessarily love that I was just done with it. I'm not that type of person. A lot of people are, which is great for them, but I'm just not like that. If I don't like something, I refuse to force myself to use it. And I spent my own money on all of these things and the money's already gone, you know? So I feel like I've already lost that. So now to me, it's just more of a matter of, do I enjoy it or not? And if I don't, oh well, it's going. So long story short, it's going. Let's do this Master Palette by Mario. I kept this from the last time around. I have used this quite a few times and I have a use it or lose it on this palette as well on my channel. It might have been the first one that I ever did, but you can always check that playlist to see if I have used any of these in a tutorial or whatever. But this palette, I love. It just is a beautiful palette. I've loved every single look that I've done with it, and I'm going to keep it. It just is beautiful. I did hear, I think that they're maybe going to do a number 2 of this, which I'm really excited about. But I like this. I love it. I want some more of it. So this one is definitely staying. I just feel like it's a really good palette. I also had, I think I might have had one or two other ABH palettes in the last declutter that I got rid of because I just didn't like them. But this one I do like. All right. We have 2 more of the big palettes left. Let's move right along with these. These are actually both pretty similar to each other in terms of color scheme. So here we go. I feel like they could almost be like sisters. And the reason why I kept both of these from the last declutter is because I love this rose gold kind of scheme, color scheme. However, I've gone back and forth on these so many times. I'm going to get rid of it. I'm not going to get rid of it. Here's the thing. I did a use it or lose it on this one, and I hated the way that it came out. Like, it was okay, but it really wasn't what I wanted. And then I noticed after I did that every single time that I tried to use it, this is the Naked 3, that I just wasn't super happy with the look I was getting with it. Let me swatch a couple of the shades. Let's do Dark Side. I don't think I've ever used this one on my eye. I mean, Urban Decay has beautiful shadows. They do, you know, a lot of them are great, but let's see, let's do Buzz. This one's really pretty. But you saw there's a lot of like that fallout type of crumbliness there. I want to keep it because I love the colors in here. But in the last declutter, I did get rid of both my Naked and my Naked 2. And this was the only one that I kept. And the colors are pretty, but I just never find myself gravitating toward it. I've used this a handful of times this whole rest of the year since that last declutter. And I'm just not using it enough to really justify keeping it around. I gotta let it go. So this one is gonna go. Now the other one is the original Lorac Unzipped palette. And again, I love the colors in here, but truth time, I have not used this not one single time since the last declutter. And I can't remember, but I think I might have even said, I need to use this more, and if I don't, I have to let it go. And here we are, almost a full year later, and I have not used it, and I need to let it go. That matte is really pretty. But here's the thing about this also. I feel like a lot of these colors, once you get them on your eye, they actually look quite similar to each other. And it kind of is like, I almost wish that they had just made like a quad or like 6 shadows instead of having 10 shadows in here. You know, I just feel like there's too many like that are just, once you get them on the lid, they're just too similar to each other. So for that reason, it's gonna go. It's a beautiful palette, but it's not for me because I'm just not using it enough. So there we go. So here we go. Here's all of the rest that I have left. And looking at this, I feel like probably half is going and half is staying. So let me first do this Ulta one because this one is easy. This was also a free gift with purchase. It has 6 shadows in it. Actually a really pretty color scheme. And I took this with me in the truck and used it pretty much every single day for a couple months. Every day that I was in the truck. And I constantly used these 3 shades just to kind of contour my eye. And for what it is, it was pretty good, you know. Let's do this one. But if you see these 2 are very, very patchy. This one is pretty good. I'll do the blue one real quick also, just because it was decent. But this is really only a palette that works if you are just slapping something on really, really quick and you don't need, you know, to look perfect or anything. That's why it worked for me in the truck. But this is not a palette that I would ever wear like on a daily basis if I was at home or if I was filming or anything like that. And I did notice that these shadows, whenever I actually finally looked in the mirror, because I go several days sometimes without really looking at my makeup in the mirror, they creased really bad. So for that reason, I took it out of the truck. I don't wear it anymore, but it's just gonna go. All right, we're getting into the home stretch here. Let's pull these down. Let me see. Let's talk about the Smashbox ones real quick because you guys, I love these palettes. I've said this in numerous videos, so if you're a subscriber, you know this, but all of these little Smashbox cover shot palettes and the tiny palettes from Tarte are my favorite type of eyeshadow palette and probably my favorite like formula, just because they're all so easy to use. And every single look that I've done with them comes out beautifully. These have never let me down. So let's talk about these first. This is the Cover Shot Matte. I love this palette. This is a great matte palette to have. I actually did a look, the very first look that I did with this palette was this pink and this purple. And I did them together and it turned out so pretty. I actually want to do that for my channel, kind of recreate that. Let me do the black also, which was not bad. Look at how dark that is. So this palette is great. I would highly recommend it if you want a kind of neutral matte palette, but that has kind of a little bit of something, because this pink and this purple is something that you don't typically see in like a neutral matte palette. So this is really, really good. For sure keeping it, no question about it. Next up is the Smashbox Golden Hour palette. Yes, Golden Hour palette. I love the colors in here. You get 2 mattes and then you get 6 shimmers. And this brown one is actually my all-time favorite shadow to do a single shadow look with. This looks beautiful, just blended out all over the lid and up into the crease. It's gorgeous. Let's do this purple because I love me some purples, and let's do this kind of bronzy one. So there are those swatched right there, those 3. This is a beautiful palette. I'm for sure keeping it. No way I'm getting rid of it. I want to use this a lot more in the new year. These 2 came in the holiday highlight and eyeshadow palette set from Smashbox, which is why they have the different packaging as opposed to the original Cover Shot packaging. This one is the Sultry palette. I did use this in a use it or lose it, and I absolutely loved the look that I got out of it. Absolutely loved it. One of my all-time favorite looks. So let me just swatch this purple here. And let's go ahead and do this other purple too, just for the hell of it. And then let me do this kind of champagne-y color. There we go. So I love this palette, definitely keeping it. These tones are just right up my alley. I just love cool purpley tones. And then the last one is the Cover Shot Ablaze palette. And this one I haven't even had a chance to use yet ever since I got that set. I think I got the set maybe a month and a half ago or so. And I've just been so busy trying to go through and use some of these palettes that I know I was on the fence about. So this one I haven't even used yet, but I'm excited to start using it now that I've kind of decluttered some of these others, because the shades in here are absolutely gorgeous. And I have said before, I'm really not a warm-toned person. I don't love warm-toned shadows, but I've actually been using a lot more of them this year, and I'm really becoming a fan of it. So these are absolutely gorgeous, and I will probably use this in a use it or lose it coming up. And if you go ahead and subscribe, you will see whatever look I come up with for that. This one is for sure staying. All right, let's talk about this Bareminerals one. This is the Work Weekend Wow palette. I kept this last time, and it shows you how to get like the work look, which is this, the weekend look, which is this, and then the wow look, which is this. Really easy to use palette, but in the past year, I have not found myself reaching for it, which sucks because I do like the palette. These are actually really good shadows. But the problem is, because I found all of these Smashbox palettes and the tiny Tarte palettes, I just started using those so much more. So for that reason, I feel like I need to let it go. Next up, let's do the tiny Tarte palettes, because we already know I'm going to keep them, but let me tell you why. So the first one is the Tartlet Tease. You can tell I have used this one a lot, and I don't really dip into my shadows very hard. I go in with a very light hand. I feel like a lot of people that I see online, they will just, you know, swirl really hard, and then they tap off like a bucket of powder, and the next thing you know, they're like, oh, I hit pan, you know, yay. And I'm like, but you just wasted so much product. So that's not me. I'm not like that. I would rather tap in several times and go back and build up the look as opposed to have a ton of it on my face and then have to fix it. So even though I've used this a lot, it still, even with these, looks barely used. So this I love. It's a beautiful palette. Let me go ahead and swatch that, and I'll do this one. And then let's do this one because you can see it a little bit better than the others. Just a beautiful, nice, cool toned palette. So this one is for sure staying, you already know. The next one that came out was the Tarte Pro To Go, which is a more like kind of warm toned palette, which I was a little bit, you know, leery of, but I wanted to get it just because I love the other one so much. And I did a use it or lose it on this. And I even said in the video, like, oh, I've liked all the other looks that I come out with this palette. But then the one that I did for the video, I was like, oh, I don't really like it. And then I went back later and I looked at the pictures and I actually ended up falling in love with the look that I created. So it's just one of those palettes that I've just never had a bad look come out of it. And let's do this one. This one's so pretty. There you go. There's the swatches for that. Just a beautiful palette. And these I think are only like $23 or $29 or something. It's just well worth your money. The Smashbox and the Tarte ones, I would rather buy those than buy any of these, you know, big palettes ever again. Let's do one more. The last Tartlet one is the Tartlet Flirt. I actually just got this about a month ago and I've used it a couple times already. And I did also do a holiday glam video tutorial with this. So let me just swatch this right here real quick. Ooh, look at that one. I don't know. I think I used all of the colors in that tutorial. These just don't disappoint, guys. Like, these are just amazing, amazing shadows. I would much rather have, like, I would rather buy all three of these for the same amount that I would buy pretty much a Naked 3 palette with. Like, why? You get so much better shadows, in my opinion, and a more versatile selection, in my opinion. I just feel like these are much more usable and user-friendly, in my opinion. I'm just not a big palette person anymore. That's just that. Oh my gosh, you guys. I just had to run upstairs because I forgot about this palette. We actually just got back from a Christmas trip yesterday, and this was in my travel makeup bag. So I had to run up and get this one because this is another kind of new eyeshadow palette to me. I think I've had it for about a month. But let's talk about this one before I forget about it. This is the It Girl palette. I was actually going to do a full review on this palette. Oops. But I was actually just looking on Ulta's website and it's gone. It's no longer even available. So long story short, I recommend this palette if you can ever find it again. It is absolutely gorgeous. Let me just show you. You have two quads here, basically. You have a more neutral quad and then kind of a more like taupey, purpley pinky kind of quad. These are absolutely gorgeous. Here are the swatches of this. So there's the kind of taupey quad, and then let me just do real quick the other one so that you can kind of see all those. Ooh, that is pigmented. And there you go. Just a beautiful, beautiful palette. I love it. I can see myself using this basically until I use it up. It is just gorgeous. And the outside is gorgeous. Like, whoa, this one is definitely staying. Okay, here is this one. This is the number 7 Stay Perfect eyeshadow palette in nude. This, I don't know, guys. It's supposed to look like a Naked palette. It kind of looks to me like more like a Naked 2, but while it looks kind of pretty, the actual shadows are just complete crap. Let's just swatch them. That one, not bad, a little bit muted. See this one? Very muted. Let's do the dark one just so that you can see. very patchy. And it's just not even worth the $14, I think. And I think I might have even got it at half off. I would not even suggest buying this for like $7. It's just complete crap. It's gonna go. Let's go ahead and do this one. This is the Dose of Colors Marvelous Mauves palette. I did do a use it or lose it using this palette, so do check that out if you are interested. But here you go. It's kind of like an ombre all matte palette. Let me go ahead and swatch. Let's do it right here. Let's do this one, and let me do the darker one. There you go. There's the swatches for those. They're a little bit powdery whenever you swatch them, but whenever you actually go to use them on your eyes, there's not really any fallout, which I was surprised by, and they do blend really, really nicely. All right, home stretch here. So let me do the Tarte Sex-Kitten one. I did do a use it or lose it on this. I did do a more kind of muted look, and I do want to do one that's a little bit more vampy next time around. But I love this palette. It is so pretty. And again, the Tarte shadows are just really, really good. Ooh. So I think those were kind of the colors that I used in the tutorial. Let me go ahead and do the darker shades just so that you can see. There we go. I just, you know, this isn't necessarily like a tiny Tarte palette, not like these, but it's still pretty small, and I feel like it's a manageable amount of shadows. For me, it's not overwhelming. This one I'm for sure keeping. Last up, we have the Naked 2 Basics and the Too Faced Natural Matte. So the Naked 2 Basics, I used a lot before, but again, now that I have, where is it? Now that I have this Smashbox one, I kind of feel like I would rather use the Smashbox matte colors as opposed to using the matte colors in the Naked 2. These are just kind of blah compared to these. So this one is going to go, and the reason is just specifically that I don't feel like this palette itself is versatile enough to use as like a single palette eyeshadow look, which is how I like to use my eyeshadow palettes. Like, I think I talked about that philosophy a lot more in my first declutter, and I didn't really touch on it in this one, but I like my palettes to kind of be more of an all-inclusive. I can open up one palette and not have to draw from several other palettes to complete my look. I don't want to pull a color from here, a color from here, a color from here, and a color from here. It's just too much work for me. I'm not here for it. So since this can't really be a true, like, you know, one and done palette, it's just gonna have to go. Now I've saved this one for last. This is the Too Faced Natural Matte because I'm a little bit on the fence about it. I used this in a use it or lose it, and I used it along with the Girls palette, and it blended really nicely. But here's my thing, is that it looks very similar overall to the Smashbox one. Like this row, I can kind of use these to substitute. This row, I can kind of use these to substitute. But the thing is, these don't really have a true substitute in this palette. But then I'm like, is it worth it to keep this whole palette for like this row of colors? Now I know that I would end up using the other rows if I kept it, but at the same time, like, I just don't know. Okay, so look at this. These two shades are quite similar. At least this one is similar to this one. And for this one, I could probably do a combination of these two to kind of create something that looks like that. So for that reason, I think because I have something that is kind of similar, and even here, actually, this one is a little bit similar to this one if I mixed these two or something. So that makes up my decision for me. This palette is going to have to go, even though it's a perfectly fine palette. You know, I just have other ones that are going to make up these shades in here for me. So I don't really see a point in keeping it. So this one is going to go. So now, just to see here, we are getting rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. Okay, so we're getting rid of 26. 14. So we're getting rid of 26 and keeping 14. I feel like that is pretty darn good. And I feel a lot better looking at this collection. This is so much more usable for me. And really, if you think about it, I have one big palette left, which is this one. And by big palette, I mean it has more shadows than the rest of them. But all of the others, like this one and this one, I think have the most shadows out of everything that I'm keeping. And then everything else is like smaller amounts. I hope that you guys enjoyed this declutter. I hope that it gave you a little bit of motivation to really get in there and declutter your own stuff. And just ask yourself, if I'm not using it, even if I have some sort of emotional attachment to it, or, you know, if you feel like you spend a lot of money on it or whatever, don't force yourself to use it if you aren't really truly loving it whenever you use it. It's just not worth it to, you know, bring negativity into your life, especially whenever it comes to makeup, because it's just, this is supposed to be fun and stuff, and it's just not fun whenever you're having to be like, oh, now I have to use this palette just because I spent money on it. If you can, return it. And if you can't, find somebody else that would love to use it, as opposed to forcing yourself to use it if you really don't want to. That's just my philosophy on it. And I'm really happy with what I have here. Clearly, I will probably end up over the course of the next year buying more, because that's just how I am. I love to try new things, but if it doesn't work for me, it's not staying. So there you guys have it. I'm pretty happy with, not pretty happy, I'm very happy with everything that I've kept. And I know that now that my collection is more streamlined, that I will get a lot more use out of everything that I did keep, and I won't feel the guilt of not using the things that I did not keep. So guys, go ahead and make sure that you check that subscribe box, and I will be uploading the rest of my declutters over the next couple weeks or so that you can see all of those and you don't want to miss out on anything. Click subscribe, check the notification bell, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.